We know you're here for a reason. You're the kind of person that likes to dig a little deeper.
That's right. Instead of just skimming the surface, you want to really get a grasp on things.
And today we're going to talk about something that maybe you haven't thought much about before, but it can make a huge difference.
And that is, you guessed it, rhinestone earrings.
Because sometimes, a little sparkle can really elevate your style.
Absolutely. And what we want to do today is give you the knowledge, like the insider's perspective on what makes a great pair of these earrings.
And of course, how to take care of them because nobody wants their sparkle to fade.
Right. You want to keep that brilliance. And we'll also touch on something that is, sometimes overlooked, metal choices for sensitive ears.
Because comfort and style should definitely go hand in hand.
Absolutely.
And then the fun part, we'll talk about different ways to style these earrings so you can really make them your own.
That's the most exciting part, how to express yourself through those little shiny details.
So first, let's kind of break down the quality because, not all that glitters is gold.
Yeah, exactly. And that's so true with rhinestone earrings. There's a whole spectrum of quality when it comes to materials and how they're actually made.
So, what actually goes into a good rhinestone? Because it's not just about how shiny it is in the store, right?
Yeah. I mean, the shine is definitely a big part of the appeal, but where that shine comes from, that's the interesting part.
So tell me more.
So, the material of the rhinestone itself matters a lot. And you'll hear, people talk about Swarovski crystals like they're, the holy grail.
I've heard that, yeah. So what makes them so special?
Well, it really comes down to the science, like how they're cut and the purity of the glass. They have this higher refractive index, which basically means they bend light in a way that creates that, really intense sparkle.
Oh, so they're almost engineered to be more dazzling.
Exactly. They really put a lot of thought into how those facets interact with light.
So for someone who wants some of that sparkle, but, maybe doesn't want to invest in those top-tier crystals, what are some other good options?
Sure. So glass rhinestones, those are a good step down, I guess. Still beautiful sparkle, maybe not quite as intense or as clear as the Swarovski.
Yeah.
And then you have acrylic rhinestones, which are definitely the most budget friendly.
Right.
They might not have the same optical properties as glass or crystal, but the technology has come a long way and they can look really good, especially for bigger, more costumey pieces.
So it's all about finding the right level for your needs and style.
Totally. And it's good to be aware of the different options because sometimes, you pay a premium just for the name and maybe you don't need that.
Right. It's about being an informed shopper. So beyond just the stone itself, the setting must make a difference too, right? Like how it's actually attached to the earring.
Oh, absolutely. The setting's super important, both for how secure the stones are and how the whole thing looks. If you think about vintage rhinestone jewelry, you often see those crazy detailed settings where every little stone is individually prong set or pave set.
Yeah, those tiny, tiny prongs.
Yeah, it's really incredible craftsmanship. And not only does it look elegant, but it also makes those stones way less likely to fall out, which is a plus.
That's good because nothing's worse than losing a rhinestone, right?
Yeah, exactly. So a well-made setting, it's like a sign of quality. They took the time to do it right.
It's like you can tell they cared about making it last. And then, of course, there's the metal itself, like the actual earring part.
Yeah, the metal matters too.
I feel like that's something I've never really thought much about, besides just oh, do I want silver or gold?
Right.
But there's actually more to it than that, right?
There is. For a lot of people, a big concern is metal sensitivity. Some metals can cause irritation and itching. And nickel, which is used in a lot of cheaper jewelry, is a common culprit.
Oh, nickel, right, yeah.
So that's why sometimes you see nickel-free on labels. That's a good thing to look out for.
So it's not just a marketing term. It actually means something for people who are sensitive.
Totally. And the quality of the metal also affects how it ages. Some metals tarnish really easily. That can make your earrings look dull.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. So it's worth paying attention to those product descriptions and maybe even reading some reviews to see what other people have experienced.
Exactly. A little bit of research can save you a lot of headaches later.
Right. So we've talked about the quality of the rhinestones, the setting, the metal. But once we've got a great pair, how do we keep them looking their best?
Okay, so this is where care comes in. Because, even the highest quality rhinestones, they can get a little bit dull over time if you don't take care of them.
Yeah, I've definitely had some earrings that have lost their sparkle. And I'm like, what happened?
Right, it happens. So the first thing, and it's really simple, is just gentle dry cleaning. Like, after you wear them, just take a really soft brush, maybe a makeup brush or something.
Like just to dust them off.
Yeah, dust them off, get any like oils or debris that might be clinging to them. You'd be surprised how much that can help.
Okay, so just like a little maintenance cleaning.
Mhm.
But what about when they need a deeper clean? Like when they're really looking a bit lackluster?
For that, you can use like a little mild dish soap and some lukewarm water. But this is where you got to be careful, especially with like vintage earrings or ones that have foil backings on the rhinestones.
Oh, yeah, because water and vintage don't always mix well.
Right, the water can get trapped behind the foil and mess up the reflective layer, and then they won't sparkle as much.
That makes sense.
Okay.
So how do we clean them without damaging them?
Okay, so the key is to be super gentle. Like, dip your brush in the soapy water, shake off the excess really well, and then just carefully clean each stone.
Okay, so very targeted, not just dunking the whole thing in.
Exactly. And avoid submerging the whole earring if you can.
Okay, got it. And then drying is probably important too, right?
Yeah, drying's crucial. Pat them dry with a soft, lint-free cloth. Don't rub, because that can loosen the stones or like leave little fibers behind.
Uh-huh.
And then, this is really important, let them air dry completely. Like, make sure there's no moisture trapped anywhere, especially around the settings.
So we're not rushing the drying process.
No, patience is key here. And then once they're totally dry, you can give them a final polish with a clean, soft cloth, and that'll really bring back the shine.
Okay, so gentle cleaning, thorough drying, final polish. Got it. Now, what about when we're not wearing them? How should we be storing these sparkly friends?
Okay, so storage is important. The best way to prevent like scratches and damage is to store them separately, ideally in like little soft pouches. Oh, like individual pouches for each pair.
Yeah, like velvet or microfiber pouches are good. Or you can use like those jewelry boxes with individual compartments.
Right, to keep them from like knocking into each other.
Exactly, because that's how they get all scratched up. You don't want them rubbing against each other or other jewelry.
That makes sense. I've definitely had some casualties from just throwing everything together.
Yeah, it's so easy to do.
Okay, so now let's talk about something that's like a big deal for a lot of people. Sensitive ears.
Right.
Because, as much as we love the look of these earrings, if they're causing discomfort, that's a no-go.
Exactly. There's no point in suffering for fashion. So choosing earrings with like posts and backings made from hypoallergenic metals is super important if you have sensitive skin.
So what are the best metals for sensitive ears? Like, what should we be looking for?
Okay, so titanium is like the gold standard. It's super lightweight, really strong, and most importantly, it pretty much never causes allergic reactions.
Wow, it sounds like a miracle metal. It's pretty amazing. They even use it for like medical implants, so it's gentle.
That's reassuring. What about other good options?
Surgical stainless steel is another really good one. It's got very low nickel content, which is, the main irritant for a lot of people.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier.
Right. And it's also like pretty durable and doesn't corrode easily. So it's practical for everyday wear.
So titanium and surgical stainless steel, those are probably the most common hypoallergenic options, right?
Yeah, they're pretty easy to find. Now, if you're looking for something a little fancier, platinum is a great choice.
Oh, platinum. Yeah, that sounds luxurious.
It is. It's naturally hypoallergenic, super durable, and resistant to tarnishing. But of course, it's also more expensive.
Right. You get what you pay for.
Exactly. And then there's niobium, which is less common, but it's cool because you can anodize it to create all these different colors.
Oh, wow. So it's naturally colorful.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. And what about gold, you ask?
I was going to say, what about gold? Because, gold earrings are everywhere.
Yeah, gold can be okay, but the carat matters a lot. Like 24 karat gold is the purest, so it's least likely to cause reactions.
Okay.
But it's also really soft, so it's not great for earring posts. They'd bend too easily. For earrings, 14 karat or 18 karat is usually better because it's more durable.
So it's like a balance of purity and strength.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But even then, it can still have some other metals mixed in, so it's not a guarantee for everyone with super sensitive ears.
It's definitely worth doing some research, especially if you have like really strong reactions to certain metals.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we've covered quality, we've covered care, and we've covered the metal situation for sensitive ears. So now let's move on to the really fun stuff, styling.
Okay, let's get stylish.
You mentioned star earrings as a good example of like a versatile style.
Yeah.
So how can we make the most of those and really any rhinestone earrings?
Okay, so star earrings are great because they're like classic, but also a little bit edgy. And one cool trend right now is the whole asymmetrical look.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
So you can wear like two different star earrings, maybe different sizes or colors.
Oh, I love that. It's like a little bit unexpected.
Yeah, it's playful and it lets you like show off your personality. Or if you have like a really statement-making pair of rhinestone earrings, maybe something big and elaborate, then sometimes the best thing is to keep everything else really simple.
Oh, so they're like star of the show.
Exactly, let them shine. But what about for everyday wear? You know, because sometimes those big sparkly ones can feel a little too dressy.
Right, exactly.
Well, for every day, you can go for like some delicate rhinestone studs, even in a fun shape, like a star. They can add a little sparkle without being overwhelming.
Yeah, I like that. It's like a touch of glam without being too much.
Right. And then, of course, when you do have a special occasion, that's when you can bring out the big guns, the chandelier earrings, the drop earrings, all that good stuff.
Yeah, those are definitely statement pieces.
Totally. And the color of the metal can make a difference too. Like gold tends to bring warmth to your complexion and it looks good with like warmer color palettes in your clothing.
Oh, that's a good tip.
And then silver or like cooler tone metals like platinum, they give a more modern vibe.
So it's good to think about the overall look you're going for.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, we talked about pairing star earrings with other celestial themed jewelry like crescent moon pendants or galaxy rings. You can totally do that without looking costumey.
How do we pull that off?
The key is subtlety. Like think of it as creating a constellation, not a whole like solar system.
A curated constellation. I like that.
Yeah, so maybe you have a delicate moon pendant with your star earrings or a ring with like a subtle galaxy design. But don't overdo it. You want to just hint at the theme.
Less is more, as they say.
Exactly. At the end of the day, rhinestone earrings, they're all about expressing yourself. You can go for subtle sparkle or bold statement. It's totally up to you.
This has been so interesting. I feel like I've learned so much about rhinestone earrings today.
Me too.
And for our listeners, I hope you feel the same way. You know, as you're thinking about your next pair of earrings, consider how those different styles, the different shapes, the different colors, they can really say something about you.
Yeah, it's like a little bit of a nonverbal communication through your accessories.
It's a way to tell the world who you are without even saying a word.
Exactly. And that's the power of fashion.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the world of rhinestone earrings.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
And until next time, keep shining.
Keep